Peace y'all, it's J Boogie, Ohm Records for alldayplay.fm. Me, you, your grandma, my kids, like anybody can be a DJ now, and with the onset of stems and sync and beat lock and everything, it makes it a lot easier, but it also gives you more creative options. So I kind of think there's gonna be an explosion. There already is on SoundCloud and whatnot. You see, kind of everybody's a DJ, but the creativity hasn't caught up quite yet. So I think with stems and all the cool technology that's happening and AI, that's gonna mean new creativity and new sounds, I hope. And I see a lot of young kids getting into more house music and club music. And a lot of the younger kids that were super turning up like 5-10 years ago are maturing as adults now. And they're like, oh, there's this thing called house music and everything else. And so they're discovering other genres. So I think that's really cool too.
Dope. That brings, especially with kids like in house music. I know you've been affiliated with Ohm Records for forever. How different is it now than it was used to, like how it used to be back, 20, 25 years ago?
Oh, wow. Well, the culture of house music is way different because then it was very social, person to person. You would be in a record store, pick up a flyer for a club, somebody's telling you about a record, you're like, hey, did you hear this? It was very interactive personally. I think in the days of social media now, people interact with their phones more, obviously, but it's interesting to see, even with younger kids, when they're in a dance setting, the phones are put away. I hear people complain about phones, but the phones are put away and people are experiencing that interpersonal connection through music again now, and it's new for them. So they're like, wow, this is dope. Whereas I think it was just that way before when it was vinyl and calling a line and getting a, recording and go to this ticket spot to pick up a ticket or whatever club it was. It was fun because you knew you were a part of a crew, a little group of people that were into an underground scene. My preference as a DJ is to be able to just stretch out over multiple genres and see how you can weave it together with energy and make it sound good. With that being said, if somebody's like, dude, I want you to do just an all 80s set, sometimes you get to go deeper and play 80s stuff that you wouldn't be able to do in a club. And it's kind of fun to do and realize like, oh, wait a minute, I have these joints in my library that I don't ever get to play. So I think it kind of depends on the situation. But today, and most preference, I love to play soul, reggae, hip hop, house, disco, funk, Amapiano, African, Latin, a mix of all of those, cumbia, like whatever it is, I love to mix it together. Warming it up is fun, and you set somebody else up, which is kind of fun too, because you get people on the dance floor, you make it for the ladies, make it right. The ideal DJ set for me would be to start around 11, pick it up, peak around midnight, and then be able to kind of come in and land the plane a little bit smooth. I like the story arc, which is fun, but it's cool to also just set it up for somebody else or take it at the end of the night and just be the landing pilot. I started DJing because I was obsessed with radio. And as a young kid, I made pause tapes from radio stations all over the world. Like wherever I traveled, I would be tuning in on the left, recording, doing all that stuff. And then I moved to San Francisco to go to school here in 1991. There was a radio station called KUSF. And that was affiliated with my college, and I became an intern there. And at the age of 17, was just already in a radio station. And that developed into DJing parties and starting to collect vinyl and doing house parties for college kids, and then, moving on to clubs and then bigger events. So it really started with radio, and then it's expanded from there. It's a private Catholic school. I'm not Catholic, but my mom was like, it's in San Francisco, they have a radio station. I was like, okay, let's go check it out. And yeah, sold. So I first discovered Ohm Records in the early 90s. They were doing little warehouse parties in Soma at the time, and they had just released Deep Concentration, which was an amazing record focused on DJs that are producing, scratching, etc. And it was interesting because they were doing that, but they were also putting out house music with Mark Farina and the whole Mushroom Jazz series. The Mushroom Jazz parties were going off in San Francisco, people bringing strawberries through the club, and it was like that mid-tempo instrumental hip hop vibe. And it was just a really cool scene, and I got to know some of the people in that world, and I was just starting to produce music. I had put out, I think my first track, I can't remember if it was Ubiquity or Ohm Records. There was a Ubiquity compilation called Audio Alchemy. Same kind of thing, DJs who were producers. This was the era of DJ Shadow, DJ Crush, those kind of things coming out. And so I was just making weird down-tempo instrumental beats with scratching. And they were doing an Ohm Lounge series starting off, and they said, hey, do you want to do a track for this? And I sent it in, and they were vibing out. And then Ohm Lounge kind of started. They kept putting them out, and I kept doing songs. And by the time I had done, 5 of those and a couple tracks of Mushroom Jazz and Audio Alchemy, I was like, okay, it's time to do a record. And it took a while, but 2003, I dropped my first album with Ohm Records, and then just have been kind of doing it slow and steady since. But I have a bunch of new material. I just finished a track for the Ohm 30-year anniversary. So still going, still happening, it's on. My approach to DJing is always keeping it soulful, funky, kind of sexy, rhythmic. I had a couple friends that was like, oh, that's a J Boogie song, or that's a J Boogie mix, or whatever. And I think at that time, my sound was really, it's not like aggressive, not super clubby or poppy, but just like accessible, but making you feel good in the soul, I guess, soul power. I love playing back-to-back. Yeah, I have a lot of DJs at the radio station, and whenever I'm DJing, it's kind of fun to even just do either back-to-back or quick 20s, 30s, whatever. And it helps you go into your library in a different way, I think, and it makes you think differently when you're partnering with somebody. I like it. Yeah, I love remixes. I love edits. I love any kind of remix. I also know that, for example, if you're DJing in Oakland at a party, you cannot play the remix because everybody wants to hear the original. They want to hear that song they know. And I totally get that because you want to connect with the energy of that song and what it reminds you of. So personally, I'm a remix guy. I love flips, remixes, edits, different takes, but also know that as a DJ, your job is to make the crowd happy. And sometimes in certain circumstances, don't play the remix. Play the OG. It's less about the event or the place. I think it's about the open-mindedness of the people, right? If you're willing to hear a song that you like, but it's different, but you still like it, and you're kind of have open ears, then you're cool with a remix or a flip. If you want to hear your Bad Bunny or your Kamaya or Too Short song because it reminds you of when you were 17 and you have to have that moment and you have to have what you want, it's like when you're ordering from a restaurant. If you order off the menu and you want exactly what you want, then you're probably not gonna like the remix or a different, version of that song. No omakase. We're coming with the omakase today. You will eat what we give you. Early on, Mark Farina was one of the most inspiring DJs in the house world. And there was a lot of house music DJs in San Francisco coming from the UK and everywhere that were very inspiring. But from a hip hop perspective, Shortcut and Apollo, for me, that time period, early 90s, they were flipping it. And I think because, they were doing reggae, dancehall, hip hop, house, R&B and flipping styles. And they were able to work between genres and do it seamlessly. So they were very influential for me when I was growing up. And now I get to know them and work with them. And Apollo would come in to the Kennel Club and just grab a stack of vinyl and place it right next to the turntables and just grab records and throwing them down and throwing them off behind him and stuff. And it was that energy and excitement about DJing that got me, I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna be that good, but it was very inspiring. Pilo was it. And he had so much style. it wasn't just his DJing, it was his style of DJing and his style of dress and his whole vibe and attitude was very unique. And yeah, when you're a geeking hip hop DJ in the Bay, you were like, oh yeah, that's one. So my favorite DJs currently, you know what's interesting is I'm really excited about some of my peers that I work with, like DJ Markey you guys had on. Like, I love his sets, I love to listen to his sets, King Most, kind of in that local area, Ross Hogg, a lot of guys that you guys have had on here. I think internationally, I'm always a big fan of Rich Medina, because he's across the board. Again, DJ Spinna, same thing. Like, they do theme sets, but if you just said, here's the night, have it, those guys can take you on a journey that's amazing throughout genres. So those are a couple of favorites for sure. And on the young, I feel like I want to name some names on the younger side, or where I'm at now in Hawaii, like Titabyte is killing it. We were just talking about Hawaiian DJs and stuff. So I think her style and sound is really kind of what I'm into. A perfect song for a DJ, I think. Intro and outro. Don't cut me off at the end. You got to give me at least 4 bars outro. I know that's kind of old school, but I think, you know, when you come up as a DJ and you're doing blends, you want that time to layer stuff out. Stems has changed the game for that, obviously, but I think having an intro and outro is great for a DJ, or a break after the hook, so you can mix after the hook. Energy, soul, bass line, funky, something that makes you want to move. It's irresistible for anyone. You know, there's those songs that just like, even my kids will start dancing to. So like, I think that all makes the perfect song to DJ out. DJing and having opinions is so controversial right now. Everybody's got an opinion. My hot take would be, don't trip. Like, don't worry so much about other DJs, other people, what they play. Just enjoy the music or not. You know, just kind of let people be. That'd be my hot take. It's like, slow down, bro. Like, it's not, you know, people are doing their thing and you don't have to have an opinion. And if you do, you can keep it to yourself and just kind of, you know, on your way. I have no idea what I'm gonna do today. I just threw a bunch of music in a folder, and typically I like to start at, I'll have a BPM genre, start around 95 to 100 and then take it to 130 is where I'm at right now. So hopefully within an hour we can bump it up. But yeah, I like to warm up in that 100 BPM and then take it to 130. You know, all styles, all smiles. Yeah. Peace, y'all. This is Jay Boogie for ADP.FM.